Welcome one and welcome all back to the channel. Today I've got a very special video for you as we're taking a look at the WeiJiang Commander Thunder Leader, aka movie masterpiece Optimus Prime, as designed by WeiJiang and Black Apple, both two phenomenal third-party companies who have taken quite a few movie designs and done their own sort of re-engineering as well as enhancement and improvements. So I'm just going to address the elephant in the room right before the video goes on. WeiJiang is no longer, unfortunately, in business. They were seized by, I believe, Disney for copyright infringement. They were, I believe, producing a Iron Man Hot Toys-esque figure, if not a direct sort of clone of the Hot Toys type action figures of Iron Man, and I think that's when they flew a little bit too close to the sun, unfortunately. So right now, as of today, it's currently March 2021, they are no longer producing figures as their factory has been essentially off the books now. Now, I don't know whether or not long-term it means they're going to be making a comeback, or really what it means for the future of that company, if they're going to come back under a new name or something like that. But just as of this date, the company that produced this figure no longer exists, in essence. So this quickly had become one of the most rare, sought-after figures within a week's time of the announcement that WeiJiang was no longer producing action figures. So if you try to find this guy today, he's very, very difficult to come by, and those who are selling it are not charging anything that's originally close to the retail price of this figure. When I purchased it, it was 120 to 150. I can't even remember now, but it was within a 120, 150 price range, where if you can see here, I haven't even gotten close up with the camera yet to show you guys all the details on this thing. But you can take a look, and this is a true work of art. And for the original retail price, it was nothing came close, basically. So that's the introduction. I'm going to be bouncing between talking about the company itself and like all of the dilemmas and where the figure stands today in terms of rarity and all that pretty frequently throughout this video. But that's the introduction. So we're going to go on to the next segment now while I sort of rearrange the camera and get everything into frame. All right, moving on to the first piece of the first criteria here is the product packaging. So normally I don't like to linger too much on packaging because with these third-party companies, usually they're pretty bland. But with this one, they went above and beyond to make something quite nice. It's got a little bit of dust on it. This has been in my closet for over a year now. But as you can see, very nice packaging. It's got a nice matte finish, quite large. I'd say probably from top to bottom. It's approximately, let's say about 18 inches or so. And it houses the figure very securely. I'm glad I went with the box because when I bought this off of AliExpress, is the site I bought this off of when it was still available, they actually gave you an option to save, I think it was around like $10 or so, and they would basically ship it to you in a generic brown box. But I'm glad I bought the original product packaging, which makes this a little bit more rare now. As you can see, it says Commander Thunder Leader very prominently in the front, and it says since 2007, ages 15 plus. Interesting that it says since 2007 because this figure wasn't even released until 2019, so I don't really know why it says that, but same thing on this side. It says since 2007, ages 15 plus. Then on the back, it's got some safety warnings in a few different languages, small parts, things like that. Some funny little cartoons on the bottom. Nothing too crazy. But really where it gets nice is on the inside. Oh, and then on top it says Commander of Heroic Spirit. Then on the bottom, Metamorphosis of Mecha Vehicle. So kind of some rough translations there, but the overall quality of the packaging in terms of material is rather nice. So getting this thing open now. And you can see right off the bat, opens up very similar to kind of how a shoebox does at the top and bottom. Put that aside, and then I'll show you. Right off the get-go, you get some very nice artwork. This artwork alone is worth framing, I would think, because it's very uniquely done. It's kind of got an anime/movie aesthetic combined into one. and you can take a look at just how nicely printed it is, because it's an embossed sort of lithograph type picture, whereas this is a nice glossy photo on superimposed onto a matte surface. So very high quality. I was not expecting to get this in the box, and that comes out, just slides out like that, covering the plastic clamshell that the figure would be housed in. I'm just gonna try to be careful with this because I don't want to knock anything down. With my luck, that would happen, but so far so good. And on the inside, you can see the packaging that it would have come in. Very secure clamshell design, similar to a lot of how these third parties do it. I actually think third parties have become superior product packagers compared to Hasbro and first party, because when you get the Hasbro Movie Masterpieces, they're just in there. They're in the box with a couple of zip ties, and once you take that out, you can't really repack the thing. But with these, with the clamshell, I know 100% when I repack this Optimus, he's going to be 100% safe, because the clamshell fits exactly around the figure as intended, and it's going to be very, very secure, and I'm not worried about this thing breaking in transit when I'm moving or anything like that. Sadly, my box does have some breakage going on with the shell. That happened. That was basically like that when it arrived, but most of the rest of the support sections are intact, so fingers crossed that doesn't happen anywhere else in the clamshell itself. You can see the accessories as well through the clamshell. You get 2 pairs of Energon swords. I already got one on the figure right now, and it came with 2 transformable blasters like you had in the movie, as well as the Matrix of Leadership inside. You can see there. And that's about it for accessories, and you get the instruction manual, which I will talk about that shortly. I've actually never even opened that. It's still in the sealed packaging as far as the instructions go, because I know it's a transformer, but I don't ever intend on actually transforming this guy. I did back in the day when I thought I could just buy another one in case anything ever broke or I misplaced something, because there's so many small parts on it. But given how rare this guy is, I don't even want a chance breaking anything. So this guy is probably perpetually, as far as I'm alive, gonna stay in robot mode. But I am lingering a little bit into different topic areas, so I'm gonna stay focused on this part and give this a quick wrap up. But the packaging is very, very nice, and I would have to say out of 5, it's gonna get a 5 from me. There's nothing else I could really ask for. It's nicely done, nice material. It's not cardboard. It's very nice matte. I mean, it might be cardboard, but it's got a matte finish on it, so it has that premium quality feel. And it came with some very nice unexpected artwork, and it protects my figure from damage, and it's easy to repack. So those are all the criteria that I typically look for in packaging. So there's nothing that they could have done that I think was missing. I don't know, like I said, if you were to have ordered this without the retail box, what that would have looked like. But for the packaging, 5 out of 5. Nothing to complain about. That's going to do it for this section. Let's move on. Alright, folks, next section. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about the source material of the action figure. And if you've seen my MPM Starscream third-party review, I'm going to repeat a lot of same things over there, so I'm going to try not to make this too winded. If you want my thoughts more in depth about the source material, please go check out that video. It's on my channel. I'll try and throw up a link so you guys can check that if you want, but I'll still talk about it just a little bit here. So this is probably one of the most recognizable characters out of all of pop culture. I'd say right up there with Marvel superheroes, Spider-Man, Disney characters like Mickey Mouse. Anytime you see a silhouette of someone like that, you're going to instantly identify that character. And I would say, without a doubt, Optimus Prime is one of those characters. Distinctive, instinctive, and everybody knows who this guy is. And really, it kind of made of a resurgence right in 2007 when this movie came out. I'm not going to get into this debate about, oh, do you like the movies, do you not? I personally like the Transformers movies, at least the first 2. The first 3. The first one I loved. The second one, I can see the glaring faults it has, but I do have a lot of nostalgia for it because I was going through I was going through high school and had a lot of memories and cherished moments with that movie. I know it's not perfect by any means, but it's entertaining, and I liked the action, and it was great. Third movie definitely has a few more missteps as it kind of ventures into Transformers 4 and 5 territory when it starts getting really bad. But for the most part, this design here is based on his appearance in Transformers 1 and Transformers Revenge of the Fallen. You can tell that based on his chest mostly, and his shoulders are a little bit different in Transformers 3. But from the first movie, he had like these flattened ab sections as well as the less beefy shoulders. So kind of focusing on that. As far as the source material, I really love the first movie. Breakthrough in CGI technology, and it really merged live action photography with computer generated imagery very well. And because of that, I still think to this day it's one of the best looking movies out there. First movie I'd probably give I'd almost consider it a classic by modern movie standards. I know that's kind of a weird thing to say, but I have had to give it a rating. I give the first movie probably an 8.8 out of 10, and then the second movie is definitely a little bit less, but because of nostalgia, I'm still going to give it a strong-ish score of an 8 out of 10. I'm actually going to double back. I probably this is the first movies for me, with the nostalgia factor combined, a 9 out of 10. The third movie I'm not really going to consider because technically this design is not from the third movie. But if I had to rank the third movie, I'd give that one probably like a 6.8. Now, speaking of which, I do know that there are some third-party companies who make accessories for this guy, who allow you to basically swap out this section to add in the abdominal portion from Dark of the Moon that gave him his robotic abs. And if you were to get that set, technically this would replicate how he looked in the Dark of the Moon movie as well. But I don't have that, unfortunately, so I have to rate it as I have it. So that's going to do it for the source material. If you ever go and watch the behind the scenes of the first movie, you'll see how much practical effects they actually did and all the hard work that went into bring this guy to life. So I highly recommend, if you can, just quickly Google search or YouTube search making of Transformers 2007. And there's a cool piece on how they actually built the truck from scratch, taking an old truck and repainting him to be Optimus Prime. So if you're into behind the scenes stuff like that, highly recommend you go give that a look. If you just Google search Transformers 2007 making of, you'll find it on YouTube. So those are my scores for the source material. That's going to do it for this one. Let's move on. All right, now we're going to move on to character likeness. This is criteria number 3. Now, this is probably the section that I can talk most about this guy, because the reason this figure is so coveted now is because to this date, as of now, this is the most accurate transformable movie Optimus Prime figure that you can get. There have been people who have come over to my house, my apartment rather, and they've seen this guy on my shelf, and they're just like, oh, cool statue. And then when I tell them that it can actually transform, they literally don't believe it. Now, like I said, unfortunately, I've never transformed this guy, and I probably never will now because he's become so rare. But if you look at a CGI rendering of him compared to this figure, and I'm going to put one in side by side right there so you guys can take a look. In fact, let me move him over to the left a little bit, and I'm going to put in a CGI image. You guys can take a look for yourselves at the CGI image and then this guy. Look at the proportions. Look at all the replication and details that have gone from a CGI model to a transformable action figure. And it is just awe-inspiring. I know I said that about the MPM Starscream third-party figure as well, but this one takes it to the next level, above and beyond. Like, it's insane what they were able to capture here. I know it was quite a development for quite a long time, and it was based on the Hasbro third-party, the third-party company based it off the Hasbro MPM figure of this guy, but I think they probably started with that as a basis and then realized that they could do so much better because they're not limited on a budget and don't have to meet the same requirements that Hasbro does. Paint work too, absolutely great, and it captures the metallic look of an automobile. In fact, while I have this camera so far away, it's going to be hard for you guys to kind of get those details. So I'm going to go into handheld mode. Just bear with me. And my tripod almost fell. Let me just make sure this thing doesn't fall down. All right, there we go. So I'm going to get in up close for you guys so you guys can see exactly what I'm talking about. I guess before I go into talking about the figure, I just do want to say I'm not going to focus too much on articulation or move or bend or open things too much, because I'm trying to preserve this guy as best I can. I doubt I'll ever get another copy of him, and I don't want it to break, because these go for upwards of several $100s now, and I wouldn't be surprised if it goes for over $1,000 in a couple of years, because again, like I said, nobody's making them. So until another company maybe does get the digital files and produces another one, this is the holy grail movie action figure you can get of Optimus Prime. Potentially any Transformers movie action figure, really. So I'm not gonna open things up and move things around too much. I'm just gonna show you guys the details, and I will point out where things are supposed to open. Starting with the chest. So you can see here, excuse me, trying to get my camera to focus. There we go. So starting with the chest here, you can see that's where the matrix chamber is. So here, right in there, does open up, and it comes with a accessory, Matrix of Leadership accessory that replicates how it opened up in the movie. And the windows open, and then that flap comes down. The face detail is also extremely well done. We can get that to focus as well. And he does come with two faces. There's a battle mask version, as well as the open face plate, which is what I have it currently set to. And I prefer this one because it just has all that extra nicely painted in detailing with literally no face paint smearing on the face, or really paint smearing anywhere on this body, which is just crazy, because like even Hasbro official products have paint smearing all over. But given how intricate this paint job is, you can see from the legs onwards, that white pinstriping around the flames to all these subtle gold accents. And you can see on the feet, it's got some nice weathered detailing too. There's absolutely nowhere that I see paint that has been sloppily done. Like all of it looks like it was done by hand. I'm sure it wasn't. I'm sure it was done mass produced, but like I would have been fooled if you would have told me otherwise. Let's talk a little bit more about the sections that open and compress and things like that. So if you can see here, look how neatly this backpack transforms. If you look at the movie design, the silhouette of the 3D render on the back, these canisters are normally like long, and then they all compress down through very, very clever engineering. Probably one of the most impressive things about this guy is right here. These wheels. So if you can see how flat these wheels look, just like in the movie, as you see it transform in the film, these wheels actually compress into themselves. Normally they're about 2.5 times the thickness of this. As you see, as it's sitting on the hip right now, they actually are collapsed right now, and there's springs inside that will allow them to pop up and open up and become the size that they are in the movie. So that's probably one of my most favorite pieces of engineering. The faceplate does also, like I said, to get that activated, you have to flip this open, and it basically spins around like this to get the battle mask on. And that doesn't even require you to remove any pieces. That's all integrated. There's the gun. Comes with two. Try to bring it in close for detail purposes. Look at all that. None of this is custom painted. This all came from the factory like this. Same thing with the weathering on the thighs there. So this is why people are buying this figure, or why you would buy this figure. It's for the likeness. I do know initially some people had some complaints about the chest section, saying that from certain angles it pops out too much, and I can kind of see that. It's not perfect. Their first prototype, when it was in gray, before they ever painted it up, the chest did look better in my opinion. The final product doesn't look 100% in the chest area, but those are all on a bunch of hinges, and there's a couple of mods you can do. If you Google search Black Apple Optimus chest mods, you can bring those chest pieces in more, and it'll give a more 100% accurate look. Right now I'd say it's probably at like a 90, but it doesn't bother me because, hey, that's fine by my standards. Still knowing this thing transforms without having to mod it. If the chest looks like that, it's really no biggie. So I love how the windows are a nice smoky gray, clear color, and underneath they have painted detailing, so it adds an extra level of complexity just with a little bit of difference by adding that silver detailing underneath. I was gonna take you guys in and show some of that. And sorry about that. Of course I get a phone call right in the middle of the video, so we can edit that out. But like I said, people are buying this because of that likeness. This is probably the strongest factor in determining whether or not at this point someone's gonna buy it in the aftermarket. But initially, even if you're an Optimus Prime fan, this is why you were buying this, because it looks like a statue, but it transforms. Like, it's got the level of details of something like a 3A statue or one of those companies would make, but you get the transformable aspect of it, and it looks super cool next to the rest of your movie figures. And I'll do a quick comparison with one that I have, but I'm sure it's going to be a surprise to no one that this likeness is going to get a 5 out of 5. The only thing, and it's not even going to affect the score, I'm still keeping it at a 5 out of 5, but I do wish the Energon blades were more translucent orange. They're a little too opaque for my taste. In the movie they were more clear, but that's small fish compared to other things that could have been worse. So 5 out of 5, no surprise. And I could just keep panning this camera all around, but the review must go on. So that's going to be it for this section. Okay, moving on to the second to last topic, we're going to talk a little bit about the accessories he comes with. And I already talked mostly, pretty much with everything he comes with in the box. So I'll just touch on that real quick. Again, you've seen in the past section, he comes with 2 of his blasters, 2 Energon swords, the Matrix of Leadership accessory, which is not pictured. I've still got that in the box. And that's the bulk of what he comes with, and his face mask swaps as well. So I'm not sure if you can count that as an accessory or not, but he does have the face mask. As you can see to the left of him, I've got the MPM Starscream third-party figure as well, just to kind of give an idea for scale. Now this guy, he is standing on top of a cradle here, which I guess I'll touch on too. Should have talked about this in likeness, but one of the reasons I have this blue tape is because the bottom of his feet are actually chrome paint, and there's a little bit of chrome also going on in a few other sections, like the backpack here. You can see there's a lot of chrome on the gas tanks, as well as these vertical striping. And it's no fault of the figure, but to make it more realistic, some of the chrome does end up at the bottom of his feet, which is why he's standing on this blue tape. So if you ever end up getting one of these, I highly advise putting something for him to stand on that won't chip or scratch that finish. Anyway, so moving on with the size comparison, you can see here Starscream would stand right about there, and those two scale. As far as movie figures go, that's almost perfect. Technically, the F-22 in real life, if they were to transform, which is what Starscream's alternate mode is, the F-22, technically he should be a lot bigger. But, you know, the movie takes some liberties with that. I know Michael Bay says he did conform to the laws of physics and they shouldn't be mass shifting and all that, but I've been around F-22s and I've been around Peterbilt trucks, and the size disparity is quite significant. I'm in the Air Force actually, and I'm stationed at Langley Air Force Base right now, which is the biggest F-22 hub, and I see F-22s every single day, and this would definitely be bigger. But anyway, I'm rambling. So that's the idea for size. I guess I'll wrap up with the accessories first. Everything that he comes with is what I would expect him to come with. There's nothing he doesn't come with that I would expect. Some people might say he should come with some Energon hooks that he used in Revenge of the Fallen to sort of plug in where the blades do. But I always thought those weapons were a little silly, and he only used them briefly in that movie anyway. And then maybe if he came with an Allspark Cube or Shia LaBeouf figure or something like that, but that'd be asking a lot. But I think he comes with everything he needs to for an MPM figure. So I'm gonna give him a 5 out of 5 on that front. And then just for a last quick size comparison, I also do have an MPM ratchet. So this just gives you an idea of how your movie figures will scale together. If you are looking to have this guy sort of flesh out your Autobot collection or your MPM collection as a whole, that's an idea of how he sizes with everyone. And I think that's actually perfect scaling. So with accessories and size and everything, he will fit right in with any MPM collection. Or if you just want to have him be the centerpiece of a collection, that works too. So touching in on that and kind of closing up my thoughts on accessories. Like I said, 5 out of 5. Nothing that I would expect him to come with that he does not come with. So like I said, I wish I could open up the chest and show you guys everything and where the accessories would plug in, like the matrix and all that, but because of the fragility of this piece and how rare he is, I didn't want to chance breakage, like I keep saying. Sound like a broken record in this review. Same thing over and over again. But yeah, so that's going to be it for accessories. And then I'm just going to go into closing thoughts and comments next. So if you haven't guessed by now, I absolutely do love this figure. So for closing thoughts and comments, it's just going to be more me fanboying over how cool this piece actually is. I think it's quite a shame that WeiJiang went down the road that it did, unfortunately. Sometimes with third-party companies, there are resurgences, and the licenses end up being picked up by somebody else, or the company themselves end up just making a comeback altogether. So I'm hoping maybe that's the case, and that maybe they'll come back and finish up producing more of these to put on the market. But as of now, this remains one of the rarest figures you can find now, if you end up seeing them listed at all. I've seen them come up on eBay and some of the Facebook seller groups very rarely. All of last year, I think right after they were shut down, I only saw like once that this thing was posted, maybe if that. So you definitely do have to keep an eye out for it if it's a figure that you do want, because they're only going to be available from people who have already bought one before. And I'm glad I got mine when I did. I actually bought mine about 2 months before that whole thing went down. They were also working on their own version of an MPM Ironhide, which I believe they had at the prototype stage in the gray plastic, and that thing looked like an absolute beast. So that kind of makes me sad that we're not really ever going to get to see that one either. So a few things from that company, unfortunately, may not see the light of day, but hey, let's just appreciate what we were able to get, or at least some of us were able to. And given how rare this piece is now, I'm more than happy to come back and redo a video with this guy if there's something I didn't talk about that you might be curious about. So if there is, just let me know in the comment section. Otherwise, he's going to be sitting in the top of my glass shelf. He's definitely one of the most pinnacle pieces of my collection now, and I'm probably never going to let this one go. So yeah, that's going to be it for my thoughts and discussion / review of the WeiJiang / Black Apple Thunder Leader, aka Optimus Prime MPM. And like I said, if you got any questions, drop them below. If you got any thoughts or feedback for future reviews, also let me know. I do plan on producing some more content when I can get more free time these days. So I'm trying to get the channel boosted a little bit with some more videos, because I really like doing these things, and I don't really know if you guys enjoy this type of video format where it's more of a discussion than a review, but I like doing it. So if you got any other recommendations, let me know. Other than that, it's gonna wrap it up. Overall thoughts on this guy, just because of how beautiful he is and how rare he's become. Overall, I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 5 too. So yeah, that's all gonna be it. I can't keep gushing, and otherwise it's gonna be a 2-hour video. So until next time, I will see you guys around. Peace.